everyone, to those Forking Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy, book, pop culture, fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. This is episode 6, and I'm Natasha.
And I'm Christine. Hello.
Today we're talking about our favorite book to movie adaptations and book to TV adaptations, and how either one is better, one is the pros and cons, I guess, of book
TV.
to TV, book to movies. Yeah,
and we'll also be doing our least favorites as well. But not spending
always
as much
a good
time
list
on those. But first, as always,
Snap, Crackle, Pop Culture News!
Snap, Crackle, Pop Culture News! So today we thought it'd be fun because it's a slow news week for our fandoms. We thought it'd be fun to do the trend that's going around on Twitter, this pop trend that's happening with Spotify and InstaFest. Is that what it's called? So basically, it's if you go to instafest.fm.app, it will take your Spotify listenings of the last 6 months and put together a festival based on what you like to listen to, and then give you a little graphic of it. And we thought it'd be fun to do ours and like go through who our headliners would be, because it's all the people we listen to most on Spotify. So we get to talk about the music we are fans of.
It's funny because, like, I've never been to Coachella. I've never been to any type of, like, music festival. I don't really plan to ever go to any type of music festival just because I don't want to, like, stand around in the heat for people that I don't necessarily care about. But this, I would.
This festival catered just to you. Yeah, exactly. I have never been to a festival either, and the one that I planned on going to was Loverfest West, obviously. Oh, yeah. I don't know how much of a festival that would have been. Like, is it like when Taylor Swift features someone on her track and they just get some background vocals, or would it be like an all-day festival? We will never know. The world may never know. And so, okay, why don't you take us through should we do like our main day one headliner and then like go down back and forth?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have to preference this that I listen to different things. Not like it's not only that, it's like I listen to like the same types of genres, and they're not necessarily the most popular artists. So
maybe before you even say, we should say that the app also gives you a basic score of how basic
oh yeah
and unniche your musical taste is. So like 0 is super niche musical taste, and 100 is like you're the most basic musical taste of all time. Natasha, what is your number? How basic
I want to know yours first. Know yours first.
I'm pretty sure. Let me just pull it up because I screenshotted it separately. Okay. Yeah. So I'm a 67 on the basic scale. That's not too basic. Just basic enough for me. What are you?
I'm a 60.
Oh, we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay. We're like middle basic. Who's your first day headliner?
Taylor Swift, obviously.
My day one headliner is also Taylor Swift. So far, our festivals match.
Yes.
Who's under? Who's your like semi headliner on day one?
Florence and the Machine.
Ooh, that's a good combo with T Swift. Mm-hmm. And is there a second one? Mine has 2.
My second one. Oh wait. Are you talking about day 2? Like
no. I'm talking about like who's under Taylor Swift. Like, so basically, it gives you day 1, Monday, day 2, Tuesday, and day 3, Wednesday in our like 3-day magical festival hypothetical.
Yeah. So these are all like the people we're gonna see in that day 1.
On the day 1. So we've got T Swift. You've got Flo in the Machine. Flo in the Machine is actually number 4 on mine. So we're basically still matching.
Oh. My second one is the one and only John Williams.
Oh, Taylor Swift, Flo, and John Williams headlining your day 1.
Yeah.
Mine is Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, and Avril Lavigne headlining my day one. Yeah.
It's a girls' club.
It's a very blonde white girls club.
Yes.
Okay.
What the heck? Okay,
Is
some
there,
of these I don't understand.
What about day two? Take us to day two, Tuesday. Who's headlining?
Oh, day two is Lizzo.
Oh, nice. Mine's Demi Lovato.
That's what?
Those are two very different artists.
I didn't think you liked Demi Lovato that much.
I listened to a lot of Demi Lovato, especially her new punk rock album. I love it. Oh. It's super intense. Highly recommend.
I have another composer under Lizzo. So it goes from Lizzo, and then you're gonna go to John Yee's Theobet, which
who the hell is that?
No one knows who that is. He is the composer of the Pride and Prejudice score.
Wow, niche. That dropped you a few points on the basic scale. Under Demi Lovato, I have Maisie Peters, The Beatles, and Billie Eilish. I can't believe Demi Lovato is headlining and The Beatles is like the support headline. But this one's kind of cool because I also have under Lizzo, I have Carly Rae Jepsen. I have Alan Menken, who is like the composer of all the great Disney songs. He did Aladdin, yeah.
Yeah. I have Amy Adams, ABBA, Idina Menzel, Barbara Streisand, and Mandy Moore.
It's a weird mix, but like it works. I watched that concert. I don't even know who one of the people under Demi on that day is Harry Styles, Klaus Baldet, who did the Pirates of the Caribbean score, is under her. Lord, Billy Joel, and Tessa Violet.
Oh, that's a good mix.
It is a good mix.
At least I'm not the only one who has composers.
Oh, wait till my third day.
Okay.
Who's your last day? Who's wrapping it?
Okay. My last day, you're not going to know who this person is off the bat, but this is Barlow and Bear. Barlow and Bear are the composers of the Bridgerton musical.
Oh.
And they were all over my 2021 roundup on Spotify. Okay. I have listened to those songs a million times.
Nice.
Yeah. And then under that would be Frank Sinatra and Hans Zimmer.
Oh my God, Hans Zimmer is supporting my third day too.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So my third day headliner is Ash, which I would love to see her live. And then supporting her is Noah Cyrus, Hans Zimmer, AJR. And then I have Ramen I've never said his last name out loud. Djawadi, who does not Throne of Glass, Game of Thrones. He does the score for, I think, another show on HBO that I like that I'm blanking on right now. But he's fantastic. And then under that I have Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, because you've been listening nonstop to Spirited?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And Beyonce is on there.
Beyonce's on my first day. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this is a cute little thing that I guess InstaFest app is really blowing up from this. I've never heard of them, but it's not through Spotify. They're just like partnered with Spotify. It's very random.
Yeah. Everyone's sharing them.
Everyone's sharing them
Instagram.
Everywhere. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen them. I feel like I was a day late because I deleted Instagram for a couple of days, and then I came back and everyone was sharing these things on Twitter, and I was like, what is this? But it was fun. It was fun. Before we dive into what right now, we want to take a second to thank our new patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, and their names are Jacob, Disha, Alexandra, Casey, Emily, Ellen, Chris, Sarah, and Kirsten. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. We have 3 different tiers on Patreon, and the second tier, which is Team Edward, you get the full XL, Fangirl XL, which includes Fangirl Tea Time, which you can hear that in our first episode. And the next tier is Team Polis Bananas, and there's lots of other cool perks within that. And then there's also the $5 tier, which is Team Jacob.
And Team Jacob, you get the show ad-free, and you get to join us live and talk to us in the chat while we're discussing everything. It's a super fun time. It's a really nice little community that's forming, and we're really, really grateful for all of y'all. And if you want to support the show, and you don't have to be a part of the Patreon, obviously, you can go and follow the show for free on your favorite podcast app. You can review the show on your favorite podcast app, tweet about it, tell a friend about it. All sorts of everything makes a difference. Leave us a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. Like, everything is so helpful to us spreading the show, and we're very, very thankful for all of y'all.
We also have the new YouTube channel, which is Those Forking Fangirls. Did you already mention that?
I mentioned it last week.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
No. Well, I said YouTube, but I didn't say.
Last week.
Yeah, but I didn't say the actual channel. So our show, the visual version, is now on the Forking Fangirls YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/@thoseforkingfangirls. And that you can watch the show there and leave us comments on the show there. And we love talking to you in those comments. And just make sure you're subscribed there so you're getting the show every week if you prefer the visual version.
Yeah. All right, so let's go into What Right Now?
What Right Now? Yay. My favorite.
Christine, what have you been reading? I know you've been reading a lot.
I have been reading so much this week because I was traveling, and it's like my anti-anxiety to open a book. And I just had the craving because I'm writing my book. And when I'm writing book 3, I found it really helpful to be reading a romance. So I was reading House of Sky and Breath, and I needed to switch from fantasy to romance. So I just, on a whim, bought One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid because I've been wanting to read Taylor Jenkins Reid's contemporary backlist. She has, like, I think 4 contemporary novels before she released Evelyn Hugo, which is kind of a historical romance, even though it takes place in like the 40s, 50s, 60s. You know, it's not modern. It's not contemporary right now. And I flew through it, just like all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's other books. It's so addictive. It's less of a rom-com, though, and it's more of a strict romance. Like, there's a lot of drama, and there, of course, is comedy, you know, mixed in. But it was really good. It's about this woman who is engaged, and she's a widow, and she's at dinner with her parents and her fiance and her sister, and they're recently engaged, and she gets a call, and it's from her husband who has passed, and it turns out he did not die. He's alive, and what happened, and he was traveling, and his body was never found, and he's alive. So it's a very weird predicament to be in because she's moved on. It's been 3 years, and she finally moved on and fell in love, and now it's very confusing because this was the love of her life. They were together for 9 years. They were married for a year when he disappeared, and so it was so good.
Yikes. That sounds messy.
It was messy, but it was so sweet because you go back to high school because they met in high school and like go through their love story. And then you go through this love story with this man that she just met, and so sweet. And then I was also reading The First to Die at the End, Adam Silvera's new novel, and I was so excited. But unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff that is really triggering my hypochondriacness, and I've been having like panic attacks reading it, and I'm not going to be able to finish it, and we're going to have to cancel our Book Explosion live show because I cannot read it without thinking.
Oh, dude, you're have to cancel?
To me, I just did right before we started recording the podcast, and like I'm trying so hard to read it, but I literally woke up in the middle of the night having a panic attack. Like I can't. I can't, it's my exact trigger too. And
Yeah.
I've been really having a lot of anxiety lately for a lot of other reasons. And so I'm already at the edge of like my threshold, you know? When you talk about that in therapy, they talk about like your emotional bank. And when your emotional bank's full, like you can take on stuff that is triggering and deal with it better. But like I'm dealing with it horribly. So
Yeah. That makes sense.
unfortunately, I had to put it down, and I know it's going to be great because it already is good. Like I can see where it's going, and I think it's going to be fantastic, and it's so well written. I love Adam Silvera's books, and I'm so upset that this is happening. But I just can't do it and also be healthy. So yeah, what if
Another
you
day
reading?
or someone.
Another
Nothing. Keep going.
keep going.
I've not really been in a reading mood, so I think you have one more.
I have one more. I just started. So after this happened, I was trying to read the first day on the end of the plane, and I was like having so much anxiety. Like I felt like I was just, it was not good. And so I started reading another Taylor Jenkins Reid's backlist book after I do. And I'm only about 50 pages into this one, but I'm just like loving it's very easy to read her books, and she has she has the art of writing a lot of time in a short period of time down so well. Like she could write it so beautifully, and there's barely like, you know, you cruise through these time periods so quickly, but I understand it so well because she is a wizard with words. You know, she hits on your feelings with so few words, and that is such an amazing talent, which is why Taylor Jenkins Reid is such an amazing talent. Yeah, so that's what I've been reading.
Oh. Okay, well, moving on to movies. We both watched the same movie. So we both watched Spirited. Christine watched it first, and then I watched it.
Oh my god, I had
It's
the most
so
amazing
good.
time.
I think you enjoyed it more than I did because, like, I really liked the movie. I really loved it. It was great. But I feel like you liked it more. You probably like it more than Disenchanted, which you haven't seen yet.
I haven't.
But,
yeah. I love Ryan Reynolds. I love comedy. I love musicals. I love dancing. The choreography in all these different numbers was so much fun. They did so much tap dancing, which is honestly like, that is my favorite. And I was getting the chills over and over again. And like the songs were funny. It had like a crazy ex-girlfriendness to the lyrics, which I loved. It was just everything I love, like put in a bottle. And like seeing Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell dance together just made my heart so happy. And I love it's a creative new take on A Christmas Carol. So this is streaming on Apple TV Plus. And it's told from the point of view of the ghosts, basically. And I loved their take on it. I thought it was so fun and so clever. And just everything about it was my favorite. I went home and made my whole family watch it. And my whole family, I just mean Paul, because my mom was too distracted doing Thanksgiving stuff. So, but Paul enjoyed it. And he's not, quote, a musical guy. But after
I feel like non-musical people will enjoy it. Like Alex really liked it too, and I mean, he watches musicals, but he, it was great. I was also very much like your mother. I was like distracted making like Thanksgiving stuff, so I feel like I couldn't enjoy it as much as I should have. But I kept saying I feel like I couldn't. Never mind. But the Good Afternoon. That number was fantastic. I just love seeing a big grand scene. It just reminds me of like old Hollywood.
It was very Mary
movies
Poppins.
And
it was very like step in time. It had those vibes, which was great. But with comedy, I mean, Step in Time has comedy in it, so it did have those vibes. And also, I have a friend from college who's in the film, and I paused it like 5 minutes, and I was like, "Oh my god, hi!" He plays one of the like intern recruits in the beginning that just died, and he's the one that has like 4 lines. So I was like, "Whoa, this is so cool!"
Oh, that was him. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
He was
awesome.
like, "Why are they singing?" That was him. I also just love that they were very fourth wall breaking about the fact that it's a musical, and Will Ferrell doesn't usually do musicals.
Yes. Well, he did. That's the thing. He did the Netflix one about Eurovision.
Oh yeah, but that was like teetering. Like, is it a musical or is it music in a movie? You know?
True.
Yeah.
True. You're right.
He was an artist.
I watched Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special on Disney Plus.
What'd you think?
It was so cute. It was so sweet. It was like a nice little like warm hug. A lot of people are saying that they really enjoyed these like one-offs that Marvel's doing, because there was Werewolves by Night, which came out for Halloween. It was a Halloween special, and that was incredible. It was really good. In Guardians of the Galaxy, like it wasn't like, you know, the best piece of Marvel content, but it was silly. It was hilarious. Like Alex and I were just die laughing. And it was cute, and we had, it's not just something like that happens within, that's, you know, like when you have like a big movie and you do like a special or like a TV show or something, like some of the plot points aren't going to carry over into the major franchise. There was one plot point which made the whole thing come like full circle, which was nice to have, because or else it's just like a fluff piece. So there is something within the holiday special that makes sense and why it happened. So I really enjoyed that, and I think everyone should watch it. I mean, especially if you love Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I have to watch it.
What about TV? What did you watch?
TV this week, I watched the next episode of The White Lotus, and it was so fucking good. Season 2 is killing it just so hard, and I am so proud of Mike White for making such a great show.
I watched the first season of White Lotus. I remember we watched like I watched the first episode a while ago, and it wasn't exactly what I had thought it was going to be, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I have like time for this right now. But it was an easy show to watch as we were like cooking Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And
the first season really is like that. It's like you kind of need to do something else because it's slow paced, and you kind of feel weird while you're watching it. That's at least how I felt. And I love the themes and the overarching ideas, but there were moments where it just moved very slow. And this has a regular pace. Season 2 is a perfect pace.
Okay, yeah, I'm excited to watch season 2. We got a little what's the word? A little tired of it, I guess. So we were like, oh, I think we're gonna hold off on watching season 2.
The thing with season
but
1,
I'm excited because everyone really likes it.
Yeah, the thing with season 1 is that it kind of paints itself as a murder mystery. So you're waiting for stuff to happen every episode, and nothing ever does. And season 2 is completely different. Like, it's a completely different vibe. And you should just watch it. It's completely different. It feels like a different show. But the same, but better, but different.
We accidentally skimmed over one of your movies, Christine, that you watched. If you want to talk about that.
Shit!
Yeah.
Yes, I watched the people you hate at the wedding with my mom, which is streaming on Amazon Prime. It's with Kristen Bell and Ben Platt and Ted from Schitt's Creek, who I don't know his name, but I love him. And also Allison Janney, who is fantastic. And it was so funny. I put it on because I needed something to watch. My mom and I were just hanging out, and I was like, let's just watch half an hour of this, see if we like it. We watched the whole thing. It came to the half an hour mark, and I was like, do you want to keep watching? She's like, yes, I think we should.
It's on Amazon Prime, right?
It's on Amazon Prime, and it was just so fun. It was like the first time in a while watching a movie that was supposed to be funny that I was laughing at the whole time. I mean, of course, I laughed at Spirited too, but this was like a comedy, This is sort of a straight up comedy, and it was great. And yeah, highly recommend. What else did you watch on TV?
I want to watch it.
Yeah.
Of course, like everyone and their brother, we watched Wednesday on Netflix.
I didn't watch it. I'm not part of everyone and their brother.
I feel like everyone's been watching it. It was really good. The thing is, though, it's like I was, again, doing things during the show, so I didn't see all of it, but I got the gist of it. And Jenna Ortega, who plays Wednesday, I know. I always do this. Jenna Ortega, who plays Wednesday, is just, she's incredible. She, like, she didn't blink at all. It was
I saw the
that
dance
Tim Burton
sequence.
had her not do.
Oh wait, never blinked?
And the dance sequence
was
never
amazing.
blinked.
Was amazing. Like I saw an interview of her being like, "Oh, I was really self-conscious because I choreographed that song myself, and you could tell I'm not a dancer." And I'm like, "You look like a fucking dancer. Like you committed so hard. It's amazing."
Yes.
Like the movements.
I
are
just
so intense and great.
the way she dances, like the silliness of it, even though she's so serious about it, it's like the way I like to dance, because I don't like to be like the sexy like grinder. I like to be like really funny and funky on the dance floor, and I'm like, this is how I dance.
Yeah, like that's my style. Except she's got like a depth to her style.
Yes.
There's like an element of death the way she dances. Just like that first movement, I can't get over it. She like throws her hands up and then just like goes to the side on a really sharp angle. And it's just so good and so unexpected. And that's like the death of it all.
Yeah, the show is really fun and cute. And another thing is, it's how do you take a character who is supposed to have like no emotions and make her have an emotional arc? And it's done well. And the whole show is just aesthetic and spooky. I wish it had come out more towards Halloween, and Catherine Zeta-Jones is just a goddess, and she plays who does she play?
The mom?
Morticia.
I was like,
yeah. I was gonna say Elvira. That's not her. She plays Morticia, and she's gorgeous. I just love her. Okay. Also, I watched the first 2-3 episodes of the Santa Clauses. It is a complete shit. You don't want to watch it. Don't do it.
That is not what I was expecting you to say. I was like, I have
terrible.
Interest. I have no interest in it.
It's like Santa Claus 3, but way worse.
I blocked Santa Claus 3 out of my mind. I definitely saw it, but I don't remember it at all. I remember the first 2.
Well, I think that wraps up everything. I feel like I watched so much this week that I can't remember everything, but those are the standouts.
Those are the big ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Our main discussion?
Yeah.
It's time. It's time.
It's time.
All right. So we're going to start off by talking about our favorite book to movie adaptations. And we tried to limit ourselves because we've both seen 5,000 book to movie adaptations. And so we put some parameters here. So we're not going to mention any adaptations where we didn't also read the book. So the requirements to be on our list is that we read the book and then also watched the movie, then read the book. So we have both perspectives here. And we were only allowed to put 3 movies so that we wouldn't talk forever. But I accidentally put 4. And Natasha.
Ma'am. That's not fair.
Well, one of ours is matching.
That's fine. But then I only have 2 to talk about.
Fine. You can say another one.
You can talk. I don't remember which one I took off to put that one on. It's fine. You can talk about it for 2 seconds.
I'll only talk about it for 2 seconds. Don't worry. I won't go into detail. But are we going from 3? Yeah, we can go up from the bottom. We want to dig into why also we think these are so good. What made them so high in our minds, and why do they still remain there? Because there's movies for example, Divergent, which I have the best experience watching, but I don't think it holds up ever as one of the best book to movie adaptations of all time in my head. So yeah, what gives it the longevity in our minds, what we want to see from an adaptation. So my number 4 that I cheated and put on here, but I wanted to mention it, was Love, Simon. I this movie, every time I watch it, I like it more. And it's become my comfort movie when I go on a plane and I just want something to make me happy. I put on Love, Simon. And like the third time I watched it, honestly, I think I loved it the most. It's so sweet and so heartwarming. And every time it makes me laugh and cry. And I think that's a sign that it stands by itself really well, because I'm far away from the book now. I read the book in 2016, and it's pretty close to the novel, I think, but it also has a lot of comedy that I didn't see coming, like with the friend and all the memes of him on like Tumblr and like just stuff. I think what makes a really great adaptation is when it follows the book, but it also adds in some extra spice that you weren't expecting, and that spice works very well. And it just adds to it. Yeah, it doesn't take away from the storyline.
Yeah, that's what I think I had to learn too, from watching Twilight back in the day, being that you can't fit a whole 500-page book into a 2-hour-long movie, and as long as it has the essence of it and the themes, and it gives you the same feelings that the book did, then I think it did its job.
Can I ask you, do you remember the first time you read the book of something and watched a movie? Okay.
The first time I read a book to movie adaptation was Twilight. Like, I don't think I remember I tried to read Sister of the Traveling Pants, but my mom ended up getting me like the second book, and I was trying to read it from that point, and it just didn't make any sense to me. But I think like watching Twilight unfold on screen was so like mesmerizing to me, because it's all of these pictures that are in your head, or and they're on screen for the first time, and you're having to rework how you pictured it while reading.
Yeah, you have to like marry the two images and kind of come to terms with it. But the first time it happens is so hard to put down the book in your head. I feel like it's an art that you like learn over time to accept those differences and kind of look at it from a different angle. Like, how would I do this if I was having to squish the movie into 120 pages with a book that's so long? And with Twilight, were you jolted by it? Or I feel like you were excited. You didn't have any qualms while you were watching, right?
Yeah, I feel like the at the time I was just really excited to finally be watching it. I think where my qualms came in was when I was watching probably The Hunger Games, and yeah, it was probably The Hunger Games. I also read The Vampire Diaries and then watched the first season.
You did.
And that was weird because it was so much better than the book.
Yeah. Are you done? Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
I think the first one I remember watching, like, I had read the book and I watched the movie, was Holes. And I was obsessed with the book Holes. And the movie was great, but I do remember, like, tiny little details. I'd be like, well, this wasn't in it. Like, why would they take this out? I don't understand. Like, there was another hole. Like, there was this part. But I was ultimately happy with it. And I remember the first time I felt really jolted was when we went to go see Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And I was just very upset that anything at all was different. And I remember just in the car ride home trying to explain everything that they missed in the movie. And then the same thing happened with Chamber of Secrets. Like, I was just too young to accept that anything was allowed to be different and still go forward. Like, I remember I was so upset that there was that scene with like a Cupid where Ginny Weasley sends Harry like a Valentine's Day Cupid. I was like, that scene was so funny. How could they take it out of Chamber of Secrets? I was so upset. Like, I died on that hill for like the whole year of 2002 or whenever Chamber of Secrets came out. And it's like Peeves wasn't in the movie, and I was like,
oh yeah,
I hate Peeves, but how are they going to go on without him? Which is so stupid. I think one of the best decisions they made was not putting Peeves in those films because he's terrible and I hate him.
Really? Oh, because he's so annoying.
He's so annoying. I hated him.
Yeah,
always.
I know. I remember reading it after the movies came out, obviously, and I was like, "Oh, who is this character?" Even that experience too was so jarring because as I grew up watching the films and not necessarily reading them. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go, because everyone had been teasing me relentless about not reading them. This is when I was on BookTube. And I read them, and it was like trying to rework the images of the film to what was the words on the page. And it was weird. Yeah. And then there would be like new scenes that would pop up, especially in like the first 3 books. There's only a few things cut out, and I'd be like, oh, it's like a deleted scene.
Yeah, the third book has a lot cut out, and I think it wasn't until like movie 5 that I started to make I hated movie 5 at first. It wasn't until movie 6 that I started to make my peace with the stuff that was being cut out. Like it takes, I feel like you just age. It's like that thing when you're younger, you have a really hard time with any ending that isn't like perfectly tied up. Like I could not handle an ending that wasn't happy and had like the epilogue. Like I needed to know what happened after. And now I like can see the beauty in an open-ended ending because like obviously other stuff's going to come up in their lives. And it's really interesting sometimes to pose those questions of like what happened and like what do you think like would result from this and all that stuff. But I feel like when you're younger there's this magic that you really want to hold on to, the fact that everything you go through a point where suddenly you're like okay with stuff being open-ended. Like you really want to believe that everything is like all tied up in a nice little bow. It's really hard to let go of that. And I love that belief. Like when I'm writing now, I'm like, okay, I don't want to hurt the people that want that at the end of the book. And that's like why romance is so nice, because you can usually count on it. Rom-coms, not romance, solid romance. I think sometimes those have a sadder ending. But like rom-com, you can almost always count on a happy, upbeat ending. And that's part of what's so beautiful about it. But, sometimes when you're reading a drama, you love it so much because it has that open-ended feeling. But anyway, I forgot where I went on a tangent about movies.
We were talking about our top 4.
Our top 4! Yeah. Started talking about, like, happy endings. Okay. Let's rewind. Natasha, you give us one of your top 4 book to movie adaptations.
I do remember what my 4th one was. It was Dumplin' by Julie Murphy.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first book I read where there was a plus size character, and then watching it come on screen where we don't have a lot of plus size representation was it was amazing, and I love that film. I rewatch it a bunch, and I think they did a fantastic job. There's a lot cut out of it, but again, it has the essence of the novel, and the characters are just spot on, and it's so fun, and I just love it, and it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it was really cute, and on that track, that was a Netflix film that kind of cycles up into my number 3 on my list, which is the To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy on Netflix. I think they did such a great job with those movies, and I know like some people get really stuck on the stuff that was left out of them, but I got all of the feelings that you want from a movie like that. Like the soundtrack is fantastic, the actors are fantastic, like their love story gives you all the butterflies. They did a great job wrapping it up with that third film, and I think honestly the third film was maybe better than the third book. It just felt more empowering to me when I watched it than when I read the book. And I loved the book too. I loved all of those books. So I'm really impressed with how they just managed to do that for all three films. Like, I know the second film I wasn't as happy with in terms of like the John Ambrose McLaren story, but like I can understand why they didn't focus as much on that romance. Like in the book, it feels like he's a genuine front runner for her heart, and in the movie it's kind of like, well, obviously she's gonna get back together with Peter. I thought they were really, really great and adorable, and they make me so happy. Like when I want to be like cozy, I rewatch To All the Boys I Loved Before. What about you?
Jenny Han is just a mastermind.
She's a master of the cozy, funny rom-com. Mm-hmm. Like, I forgot to put this on my list, but Shelby just mentioned The Summer I Turned Pretty.
Yeah.
What an excellent adaptation on Amazon Prime. I am so excited for season 2.
Me too. Did you read that one? Because I did.
I didn't. You did? Oh,
it's way better than the book.
Oh, good. That's always a great sign when they manage to, like, you know, make it even better, which is the best.
Yes. As Shelby says, it's better than the book.
Shelby agrees. Shelby agrees there. Okay.
So my number 3 is New Moon.
Ooh!
And yeah, New Moon was, well, it was my favorite book back in the day. It's now not anymore.
It was your favorite?
Out of the 4. Yeah, we talked about this because I was like I was, you know, an angsty teen, and I loved that it made me cry. Oh, and so it was my favorite book because of that fact.
Oh, gosh.
I was so excited for this one though, and I think it had everything to do with my experience because I hadn't seen any of the films in the theater yet, and this was the first one I saw, and it was so much higher budget, and so the quality was better, and the costuming was better. Self-aware, yeah, and the stunts. And we got to meet the Volturi, which we got Michael Sheen and all of them. So it's just all around, it's great. And plus, I didn't have to sit through, you know, like half the book waiting for Edward to come back. I only was like an hour and a half.
And they did a great job with like the ghost Edward. I really liked how they portrayed that. You know, New Moon, honestly, looking back when I watch the movies, I think it's the best of the movies. It's really funny. They tell the story really well. It's well paced. The CGI doesn't make me cringe. I really love the chemistry between her and Jake. I think it is, and the humans are great. Like the scene at the movie theater. I mean, it's
so good.
So good. There's so many great moments. And
also that moment of like Victoria like running in the forest.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
Yes. I mean, Chris Weitz directed that film, and I think he did a great job stepping into the franchise. And like you said, watching that movie was such an experience. Like the moon popped up on screen and the screams in the theater. We all sat there while the moon waned, and everybody just screaming at the top of their lungs. It was amazing. And like the first time you see Edward and the first time you see Jacob, like everyone's so fucking excited. And you know, it's when you get those experiences at the theater, and it feels like, I don't know, I feel like I've had it like a bunch of times, but it's rare. Like because we are such fans of things, we go to like these fan screenings and have those experiences, but they're always so memorable because it's like once every 100 movies you see, you know?
Yep.
And Dakota Fanning joined the cast. Like, suddenly people were like, "Oh, there's actors in this movie that I know."
Yeah. Like, now you need to watch it.
Oh yeah, Brooke just said watching Alice Cullen drive the yellow Porsche like a maniac is a borderline religious experience. I agree so much. That was like right out of my brain. I was like, the Porsche.
I mean, also just like having Bella just like run through all the like the cloaked people, and I saw that scene at Comic-Con, and I was rabid. I was absolutely foaming at the mouth. And like they showed you like up until the point where she like saves him, and I was
I watched a version of that someone illegally filmed and put on the internet. Mine was like a shaky camera phone version.
And I was in the room where it happened.
That's amazing. Like, that's an epic room. That's like the height of Twilight excitement, honestly. Mm-hmm. And we can't not mention also, like, the Hillywood parody for New Moon was spectacular.
Oh, yes.
Like, oh my God. Like, I watched that so many times.
You have another Twilight one, though.
Oh, yeah. Should we bring that up now? Yeah. So on my list, number 2 is Breaking Dawn Part 2, which was another very memorable, epic movie-going experience. If you saw Breaking Dawn Part 2, you know why. I mean, the end of Breaking Dawn Part 2, this is the final in the series, has a different ending from the book. So that's my favorite thing, when they spice it up and they do it spectacularly. So that's what happened in Breaking Dawn Part 2. The end is so unexpected, and everyone in the theater lost their fucking minds at once. And it was like the most amazing experience, because we're all watching this like knowing what happens, because it's like the first showing ever, you know, in the theater after it was released, and everyone starts screaming, crying, yelling. And I was with Olivia, who like never reacts to things when we're watching, and she's like, this isn't what happens.
It was just so heartbreaking, because you're like, what the fuck? This is not supposed to happen. You're like, I was so righteously angry, and I was at the world premiere, and like we were all just yelling curses at like Bill Condon. We're like, fuck you, Bill! Fuck you! And, like we're just wailing and screaming and writhing in our seats. We'll never forget that.
The moment you see Carlisle's head,
absolutely not.
And like there was a part of me, like the filmmaker part of me, that was like, oh, is this Alice's, is this a vision? But at the same time, it went so long, it was the perfect length. Like it just kept going. Yes. So like I started bawling. Like there's this point where Seth gets crushed, and I just remember like lost it. But wow, yeah. So I think they did a spectacular job with Breaking Dawn Part 2. You know, Renesmee aside, creepy CGI baby aside, I think they did a great job with that. Breaking Dawn Part 1, I have my grievances. That wolf scene really, really, really hit the wrong way.
There's a lot of scenes that hit the wrong way in part 1.
But that one really stands out. I remember cringing in the theater. I was like,
yes.
Oh gosh. Oh no.
Please stop.
They were like all just like wolves without moving mouths yelling at each other.
Okay. We love Twilight, but we also have a lot of opinions about when it's bad.
I mean, when you love something, you can critique it too, and also exactly love it.
Yeah, you can't just say it's stupid and then not also know why.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. My number 2. My number 2 is Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 version with Keira Knightley. This is just, it's my favorite movie of all time. I've loved it since I was like, how old was I? 10, 11 when I first watched it. And I love it now. obviously. It's became my aesthetic. And it is not the perfect adaptation. This is not the book. We are missing a lot of points from the book. But the book is also, I mean, Jane Austen's great, but she's also kind of boring. And I love the movies because the movies spice up what the words on the page are. And it's like, it's not I don't enjoy reading Jane Austen. I loved Emma, which is, I think, is my favorite, and Sense and Sensibility of Jane's. But Pride and Prejudice is like my third favorite, which is why I love the movie so much, because it made me love the story of Lizzie and Mr. Darcy. And it's just, from the filmmaking perspective, it's a beautiful film, sweeping shots, incredible score, great acting. And it's just so aesthetic, and it captures all the feelings that you want from a Regency romance. And it's a masterclass, I think, in that genre.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a staple for everyone who loves that genre. I can't get into Pride and Prejudice. My favorite one was the one with the vampires.
Oh, sorry.
Zombies. There were zombies in the movie.
Zombies.
Pride and Prejudice and zombies.
I want to.
That's my favorite version of Pride and Prejudice.
Have you watched the 2005 version?
I like Colin Firth, but I don't think I've ever. Is that?
It's
a TV
not Colin
show?
Firth.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
not that
I've
one.
watched the one with Keira Knightley. I was bored, and I don't like Mr. Darcy. I think it's because I don't like him that I can't get into it. It's like hard if I'm like not rooting for the romance to want to like the movie. So with the zombie version, there were zombies.
Oh my gosh.
And so that aspect kind of changed the dynamic. I feel like Mr. Darcy was a little different because he like respected how they murdered zombies. I don't remember it. I remember seeing it in the theater, and that's it. I was excited. I was like, oh, Pride and Prejudice, I'm enjoying. But
okay, we need to watch it together so I can explain things to you.
Yeah, maybe we need to do that. It's like when I watched Lord of the Rings with someone who loved Lord of the Rings. It kind of changed my perspective on the film. I need to watch it with a fan. But I want to watch. Wait, so the Colin Firth version, is that a TV show?
That's
Like,
a TV show. It's a miniseries.
Okay. I love Colin Firth. I feel like.
Okay, well, it's very corny. A lot of people are like, sacrilege. You like the 2005 version over the BBC miniseries? And I'm like, yes, it's better. Like, we get the whole book in the miniseries, but there's this really, really bad scene where she's just like, he's reading off the letter that he wrote to her, and she's just like, and it's like these two split screens of their heads, and she's just reacting to it. It's really bad. But
is it bad in a way where, like, if you come in expecting it to be bad, it'll be fun, or is it bad?
Yes.
Bad? Okay.
Yes.
It's like
you might like it. I don't know.
Does it give you kissing booth feels?
Well, that's the other thing. Like, it's so chaste. Like that show. Like, there's no kissing. There's no like big. I don't know. It's not my fave.
All right. Well, yeah. My favorite is also Emma of the.
Emma's great.
stories.
I just rewatched it on the plane the other day.
The new one, right? It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
The cinematography is also like gorgeous in that film.
Mm-hmm. All right, Christy, what's our number one?
Our number one we agree on, and that is Catching Fire. The best book to movie adaptation of all time in both of our opinions. If you haven't watched the Hunger Games movies yet, they are all excellent. Honestly, at first I didn't like the Mockingjay movies, and I rewatched them. I was like, I don't remember why, because they're fantastic. I think they're just dark.
Yeah.
So
they're so dark.
They're so dark, but they're really well done, and the score, excellent. And okay, so let's take us through your experience with the Hunger Games, because I didn't love the Hunger Games movie, but Catching Fire is my favorite book to movie adaptation of all time. How did you feel?
Well, I read them in high school. I remember it was like my sophomore year of high school. Everyone was talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was one of the movies that we all like stood out in line and like waited for. I thought it was fine. I thought it was good. I mean, I loved Jennifer Lawrence. I'd already seen her in X-Men. But I don't think they had, I don't know. It just seemed like they didn't have enough budget for the first one of all the things that they wanted to do. And I also like wasn't a huge fan of Josh Hutcherson at that point, and he wasn't my PETA. And
did you picture? Who did you picture as PETA? Who did you fan cast as PETA? Because I really wanted the guy from Weeds. I can't remember.
I feel like it was Kellen Lutz.
Oh my god.
I know. Like a shorter version of Kellen.
Okay.
No, I wanted Kellen for Finnick.
I wanted Hunter Parrish. That's his name. From Weeds. He was so handsome, and he looked just like PETA in my head, and a lot of people had fan casted him because Weeds was really popular at the time. But yeah, I was upset about both the castings. I remember I was like, Jennifer Lawrence doesn't look like Katniss at all, because I pictured Katniss as like, I probably picture her as me, if I'm being honest. But I pictured her as like a really like athletic person, but like a gymnast almost. Like and like, you know, Jennifer Lawrence was like tall, and she looked like a fully woman, not like a young girl like I pictured, you know. Like Jennifer Lawrence is one of those people that can play like any age because she looks like she could be older, you know.
She's a very like round, soft face. Like we have both her and I have very like similar features.
Yeah, and I just pictured like a young girl, and she didn't look young to me, and I was like, how could she be casted? But then she was absolutely phenomenal. It's like, that's why she was casted. I just didn't know her at all, so she was just like a new face for me. But okay, so when you saw the Hunger Games, you were like fine with it. I remember being so annoyed by the directing style, and I know exactly what they were going for. They didn't want it to feel like we were reveling in their pain like the Capitol does, but in their shaky film style, like you can't see what's going on. So when there are fight sequences and stuff, you can't see anything. I'm just like, what's the point of this if we can't see it? Yeah. And then Francis Lawrence came in for the second one and did spectacular perfection job.
He did the first one too.
Oh, are you sure?
I'm pretty positive.
I think it was a different
Alex,
director.
did Francis Lawrence do Hunger Games?
Okay. The Hunger Games. Yeah, Gary Ross. It was Gary Ross. Okay.
Oh.
Gary Ross was the lead director there because Francis Lawrence came on for Catching Fire and the two Mockingjay films, and he had like a much more stable camera. And I was so happy when the trailer came out for Catching Fire, and I was like, oh my god, we can see things.
I mean, Catching Fire, although it is, it's a very good story. Like you're on that train. They're doing the tour, and then you find out that they're going back in, and now we have all of these, like, what are they? The
Victors,
alumni coming back in. Yeah,
the Victors. Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic story, but I mean, the first one's fantastic too, and you just don't get to see it. It feels like you're kind of in a blur the whole time. And I know it's art. We're seeing it from like Katniss's perspective, but like I wanted to see the whole movie. I would love to like see a remake of that film filmed differently. But yeah, Catching Fire. So why is it so perfect for you? What makes it perfect in your eyes?
I just, okay, they did have an easier time working with, because the Hunger Games books are smaller, so you can pretty much fit almost everything into the movie. So almost everything from the book is in the movie. They also had a better budget. Their special effects were way better. It just, and I believed the whole thing with PETA and Katniss at that point as well. And then we also got Finnick. We got all the victors. I it's just it's pretty much exactly the book, and it's so exciting, and they do such a fantastic job about adapting it, where it's like I don't think we really missed anything.
Yeah, well, the casting for everybody was fantastic. Like, the casting of Sam as Finnick Odair was perfect. And all of the
And Jenna Malone.
Yeah, Jenna Malone. Do you remember that moment in the elevator where she's stripping and J-Law is making that face? And it's just so perfect. So dead on Katniss. Like, it's moments like that where, like, J-Law just shines so much in this film. And there's that iconic shot of her at the end of the film being lifted up. And then, like, she's looking at the camera and you see, like, all of these emotions cross her face when she finds out what happened. Oh. And they're like, there is no District 12. Bum, bum, bum. It's just, it was like watching someone take out what you read in your mind, images, and just put them on the screen. I remember I started crying within, like, the first 5 minutes because I was like, whoa. They had that moment within the first few minutes where her PTSD comes into play and she shoots an arrow and she shoots a kid. And I was like, holy shit. Like, they're going there. And it was perfect.
When they go into the arena for the first time, and then she sees Lenny Kravitz get, like, beat up, and then the music is just like bomb, 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 and then she goes into, like, you're not expecting them just to come out of water, and then when they figure out everything's a clock, it's so good.
I mean, the score is also so excellent for these films, and I didn't appreciate it when I was watching them the first time, and then I did a rewatch a couple years ago, and I was like, wow, the music is excellent. And I had, like, the themes stuck in my head for a few weeks because I was just in love with them. And they're so perfect for the tone. And, oh, it's so perfect. Like, they also did a great job with the CGI, like those monkeys. And they had the voices coming from, like, the Mockingjays or the Jabberjays in that one section. I mean, it made me cry. Everything was perfect. The moment where PETA, like, falls over and she has to do, like, Finnick does CPR or something. Perfect. Everything just really hit. They hit all the major moments in the film that were in the book, and it was amazing.
Yes.
It's amazing. Okay, question. Do we want to do our favorite TV adaptations, or do we not have time?
Well, we talked about it in the beginning.
I know.
That's the thing.
But we could talk about now that we have to save it for another episode and then do the worst ones.
Yeah.
Should
Let's
we
do that. It's too much to do both in one.
Okay. All right. So we're running long, and we have a whole list of TV adaptations that we want to talk about, but we're going to have to save that for another episode because we want to talk about our least favorite book to movie adaptations. And in order to fit those in, we have to save the TV for another time because we don't want to have to rush through our favorite TV adaptations. So, okay, Natasha, let's talk about our least favorite adaptations. Give me one of yours.
Okay. Well, one of them is Fallen, which was a book that came out, around the Twilight area where everything was being published. And the thing about this is that it's not good source material, and it should have never been made into a film. And yet they still made it. For some
I didn't even know that
ungodly reason
was made. I wasn't even aware.
You know why? Because I was working for Page Premiere at that time, and it was my only duty to talk about book to movie adaptations, and I was writing for them. And so we were like, we talked about all the films that were being optioned, or the books that were being optioned, and it took about, I think, 5 years for it. They had made it, and then it didn't go anywhere. It just went straight to, like, streaming, I think, but it was before streaming was a thing, so I don't remember. Anyways, it takes itself too seriously. It's another one of those, like, moody, like, romantic paranormal movies, and it should have never been made.
I remember one of my most disappointing book to movie adaptations was The Time Traveler's Wife. And I read this book and loved it and got so excited for the movie. I think I read the book because I knew a movie was coming. And it's tragic, but also there's a lot of really happy, wonderful moments. And then when you watch the film, they took out all of the happy moments and only left in all of the tragic parts. So it was just the most depressing thing I'd ever seen. And yeah, they just remade a show on HBO. I watched the first episode and I wasn't in love with it, so I didn't continue, so I can't comment on that. But now that we're going to do a show episode.
The whole thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on the show episode. Did you like it though? You did, right? Or
I did, but they canceled it.
Okay. Yeah. Shelby just said that they canceled it. Theo James was in it. I was excited about the show, and then I watched the first episode and I was on the fence. But anyway, movie, bad. It was not good. It did no justice to the book. The novel is like an emotional roller coaster. It's heartbreaking, but it's also funny and wonderful. And
that's why I never watched it, because I was so afraid of the tragedy of it. I did like the show because we didn't get the end of their story yet.
Wait, it didn't end? They didn't fit the book
into
one season?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, they were going to do like another season. So it just like
that's a bad idea. Don't you think?
It was cute though. We got to see a lot of Theo James's ass, so it was fine.
Yeah, when he time travels, he's naked. So
yeah, it's great.
But yeah, Rachel McAdams. I was just, I loved her, so I was so sad that her movie was not good. What's next on your list?
In that same vein, The Hating Game came out this year, and I was so excited for this movie. And I did like enjoy parts of it. It was just the fact that it could have been way better. This was like the number one best-selling rom-com of like 2018, 2019. Everyone still talks about it. It's like it got people to read again. It was like very highly anticipated. And then they make this movie, and Lucy Hale's great. She was great. I do like her. But Robbie Amell was supposed to be the leading man, and then he couldn't do it, and so they filled it with some unknown actor, and it just didn't have the same bite that
he was not good.
The book did. No, he wasn't. He ruined the whole film.
Yeah, he just had no chemistry with her all the time. I was like, I like the things he was saying could have been good if they were delivered by someone else.
That's what I think. Robbie Amell would have made this movie great. Can you imagine Robbie Amell and Lucy Hale together?
He's perfect.
Yeah,
he's perfect. I love Robbie Amell.
Yeah,
I think he would have been perfect for this. You know who also could have done this? Sorry, but your fave, Henry Cavill, could have done it. Henry Cavill could have done it. Henry Cavill could have done it.
Oh yeah,
Henry Cavill could have done it.
Well, Henry Cavill was the one that I pictured in my head. Henry Cavill is always the one I picture in my head.
Your go-to casting
I want to see
choice.
We did get Henry Cavill in Enola Holmes, but I'm like, I really want to see him as like a leading man in a Jane Austen book. I feel like he would be great. I feel like he would be a great Mr. Darcy, but he probably won't do it because he's already has the Sherlock thing, and he's already brooding in that.
I love him like that, though.
I do.
He's great.
Swoon.
Okay, we'd be remiss not to mention Percy Jackson, which is just an unfortunate movie that happened. It's so bad. And their first mistake was casting like 19 and 20-year-old actors to play 12-year-olds. The book is 12-year-olds, and it's very weird to see people in their 20s playing them. And their second mistake was just not following the book at all. Like, there's this thing called the mist in the book. Like, there's this thing called the mist that like hides everything from like human eyes that aren't like part of that world. And I remember watching the movie and it just didn't exist, and so people could just see everything, and I was like, this is what. So I'm so excited for the TV adaptation. You get another chance. It's very exciting.
And also Rick Riordan is heavily involved
in
He's like the creator. He's like the main producer, right?
He's there. Yeah.
So.
He approves of every message, I think, being sent on the show. So
Yes.
like the second Percy Jackson movie was just a complete train wreck. I was just like, why did they even do this?
Allegiant.
All right. Allegiant and Insurgent, I think, were both one of my least favorites.
I didn't mind Insurgent. Christine had to put this one down. She's like, it was bad. I didn't like it.
It burned me. I hated it. It was so bad.
Okay, it doesn't compare to how bad Allegiant Part 1 is. It was so bad that they canceled Part 2.
I feel like Allegiant Part 1, though, was so poorly taken because Insurgent was such a piece of shit. Like,
you don't remember the bubbles?
Do you remember those little snaky things that, like, went into her when she was, like, I don't even know what the fuck was going on, but it's something, like, I think they were doing a simulation, but, like, it was so weird. The technology just didn't make any sense.
Oh.
It hurt.
Is that the one Kate Winslet's in?
She's in all of them, isn't she?
No, I think she's only in the first one.
She's in the second one. She has to be. Janine's a big part of that one, I think.
I don't remember.
It's so bad. It was so bad.
But Allegiant was way worse.
I think for Allegiant, I was expecting it to be bad. But for Insurgent, Divergent, the movie, is good. It's a good adaptation of that book. And then to go from that to Insurgent was so depressing. Because it was so bad. They tried to make it like an action film when it wasn't, and then it was all CGI. It was so bad. I don't even remember it because I put it out of my mind. That's how bad it was. Like Allegiant, why did you hate it? Like I kind of remember, like at the end, I was like, okay, good, it's over.
I just remember from Allegiant, the only thing I remember from Allegiant was the bubble people and how they came down in a bubble. He came down in a bubble, dude. Like that was Allegiant.
I don't remember that at all.
It was so weird. It was like everyone. No, I just remember
like Glenda, the good witch, coming down in a bubble.
Yes, exactly. It was like the meme or the TikTok, and they were just like, "Oh, we're coming down in a bubble," and it's like Theo James trying to act like all like moody and cool in a bubble, and it didn't hit.
Well, they also made the mistake of trying to divide Allegiant into 2 movies. Like, there's not enough there, man.
It just would have been, it just is. We just need the whole book in one. We just need that. Oh, well. We're never going to see it. Oh, remember they tried to make a TV show?
They didn't even, I think that was like a saving, like, they didn't want to say it was canceled, so they're like, maybe it'll just go straight to TV, and then it was just, fell flat. Because, why would those actors go do a straight-to-TV movie after doing this? They were all, like, Miles Teller and, like, Shailene Woodley and Theo James. Like, they had other stuff going on.
They had Oscar buzz.
Like, they're not going to go from big time movies to doing a straight to TV part 2 of Allegiant.
Yes. All right. So we had a TV show in this list. However, we have to save it for the TV show episode. So we'll switch it out for City of Bones.
I don't think City of Bones is that bad.
Agree.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. It's 3/4 of it are great, and then the last quarter is terrible.
For me, it's 1/3 of it is great, and then the second 2/3 are. The second third is like, and the third is like, oh.
I agree there. I think it started off really strong. Mm-hmm. The thing that made me go ugh, like the first time was like, oh, this is really good, and then it got to the kissing scene and they added that terrible
Demi
I think
Lovato
it was a Demi Lovato song.
I'll never get over it. Anytime they put a like loud singing pop song behind a kissing scene in a Y adaptation, I want to barf. I hate that. I don't know why anyone thinks it's a good idea. It also happened in Vampire Academy. I was like, are you kidding? Stop. Oh my God. We did not put Vampire Academy on this list.
We are if the people reading this are teenage girls, we are much more mature than people think. We don't need some dumb teeny bopper song to make a kiss more, I don't know.
I don't know.
friendly.
Like, do they want to make it? Do they think it's exciting because you're ruining the moment?
Yeah.
Like, you're ruining the moment. It's one thing to have a score, like that's fine, but this is so distracting. Like Demi just comes in singing the second they start to kiss.
Immediately you're just like, ew.
I know. I remember like in the theater I was like, no. Robert Sheehan was a perfect Simon. I love anything Robert Sheehan does. Brooke just mentioned that. And I mean, Jamie wasn't my perfect Jace, but it was fine until the portal bubbles when he was like, watch this. And he stuck his hand through like a bubble and it came out the other one. Ah, no. Why are there portal bubbles?
Well, and then like, they brought in Jonathan Rhys-Meyers. Is that what his name is? Jonathan?
He was not a Valentine for me.
He was not Valentine.
He's like a pirate.
Jonathan Rhys-Meyers is just the most dramatic actor, and he doesn't need to be the most dramatic actor, and he was terrible.
He looked like a pirate in this movie, and I was like, why is Valentine dressed as a pirate? What's happening? So
Brooke said, the set of the Institute was gorgeous, especially the greenhouse. Yeah, the sets were great.
It was. Mm-hmm. And, I forget the actor's name who played Hodge, but I really liked him as Hodge.
He always plays the British dudes.
Yes, he's also in Chernobyl.
Yes.
Oh, he's the son of Richard Harris.
Oh.
God, what is his name? Is his name also Richard Harris?
No.
No, it's
Alex,
not.
what's the actor's name from Chernobyl?
Right, at 122, there's a spot we have to cut.
Richard Harris.
His name is Richard Harris?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Huh? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's Richard Harris's son. It's Richard Harris's son.
Richard Harris's son.
Yes, he's also in Mad
Jared
Men.
Harris.
Jared Harris! He was a great Hodge. And, like, the cast was great. And, except for the Valentine guy. But, like, Lena from Game of Thrones played the mom. I cried in that Act 1. It was very good. And then Act 2 went with the portal, and Act 3 went with Valentine.
Adrian something. What's his name? Adrian. He was in Poldark. Anyways, he was great.
He played Luke. Yeah. So what happened that made this bad, I think, is that they went off of, they like changed the rules of the world, which is just like, don't do it. Why? It was unneeded to do that stupid portal weird shit. It was dumb. And if you change the rules of the world, it should only be if it has to be changed for a visual medium. And I really like, for example, in the 7th Harry Potter film. In the 7th Harry Potter film, when they made the Horcruxes kind of have a weird ringing in Harry's ears instead of him not knowing exactly where they were because we didn't get all that backstory in the other books, I think that was a perfect way to show that he could kind of, like, for him to be able to find the Horcruxes and to show that, like, he was a Horcrux. That, spoilers, that was a perfect way to adapt that. And in movies like City of Bones, where we're just laying the groundwork of the world, don't play around with the rules of the magic, because then everything just goes off the rails and nothing ever makes any sense. And that's a thing I see them doing. I feel like we saw them doing in a lot of these adaptations in the early 2010s, where they were just like, oh, we're just making like another random teen adaptation. Twilight. Let's not like put any effort into thinking this through. And then they made all these stupid decisions. Like the end of that City of Bones movie, I don't even remember, but I just remember it didn't make any sense to the actual groundwork of how the magic system and things worked. So it was very upsetting. And if you're making a fantasy, like the author put a lot of time and effort into making the rules of the world so that they make sense throughout the many books that they write. And so when you go into the first movie and you're like, let's just do this random shit because that'll look cool and like youths will love it. No, like you put not half the amount of thought that the author already put for years into this. Like, just listen to do what they did. Oh my God, I don't even remember the weird motorcycle ride, honestly. Facts just said their weird motorcycle ride in City of Bones, like, no memory. No memory of it. I blocked it out.
I don't remember that either.
I think that's gonna wrap our least favorite book to movie adaptations today. We gotta move into our F, Marry, Kill and our ACOTAR segments. Today in Fangirl Tea Time, we're going to be talking about the kind of line you have to walk as like a quote professional reviewer and like supporter of these films, and like reviewing things that you also want to support, and how the difficulties that arise there, like if you don't like something that you love the book version of, and how you deal with that, and if you're supporting something like for work, and how all that stuff. So
tricky business,
and that'll be in our Fangirl Tea Time, which is our Patreon perk for the team Edward and up. So if you don't already subscribe there, you can check out those perks on patreon.com/thoseworkingfangirls, link in our show notes. All right, Natasha. Fuck, Marry, Kill of the week. Here we go. Are you ready?
I was told not to look at these.
Okay. Oh, we got to do our song. Fuck, Marry, Kill. Fuck, Marry, Kill. Plus, Marry, Cliff of the week. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
This week we've got Geralt from The Witcher, Jamie from Outlander, and Robert Pattinson. Woo!
One's a real person.
I know. I had to mix it up.
Why? Why are all these my favorite people?
I know. I wanted to make it really difficult in a good way this week.
Oh no! Oh
what
no!
Would you do? What would you do?
Okay, I'm gonna fuck Geralt. Oh no! Okay, Robert, Rob, our pets.
Yeah.
I love you. But we would not get along. He's too weird. He's also very entrenched in Hollywood.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I feel like we wouldn't. Okay, sorry, Rob. I'm gonna kill you. And I'm gonna marry Jamie.
All right. I mean, I'm gonna marry Jamie as well. He's the really strong choice for marriage here.
Yes. Good husband material.
He really is. And then I would F Robert Pattinson. And then I guess I would end up murdering Geralt. Because, like, although I find him
You could try.
I could try. I could just push him off the cliff and hope for the best. He'd probably be like, you can try, and just stand there as I like try with all my might to push him, and he wouldn't budge. But while I find him attractive, I think he's really funny in like a gruff, like that annoying grumpy guy way. I don't think we'd get along at dinner. I'd be like, why don't you talk?
He just like to say fuck.
He's just like
mine.
Sit there. All right. So we're gonna move on into our chapter chat segment. If you haven't heard, we're rereading A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. We read chapter 7 this week. Next week will be chapter 8. We're gonna move right on in. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So this chapter opens up with Feyre finally eating, and Tamlin's like, oh, you look better than before. Your hair is clean.
It's just a very sad attempts at flattery.
It's the saddest attempt ever. And the saddest thing about it is, like, later in the chapter, Feyre's, like, questioning her confidence because she's like, wow, he couldn't find one thing to compliment about me. What does that mean? It was really sad.
No, I just love when Lucian's just like egging him on. Not egging him on. He's like head nodding him. He's like, yeah, that's good. Keep going. And it was not. It was really bad.
Well, didn't he say something like you've lost your charm with women or something too? He did rib him a little bit for that comment.
Yeah. That's
but
true, he did.
Lucian's over there like, why don't you want to look at us? We're probably so much better than humans to look at. I'm like, ew, Lucian. Shut up. You're so annoying.
I love how he goes like, he's like, and this. And he just like gestures to himself.
Like, this is much better than what you usually get to look at, because Feyre is trying her best, like, not to interact with them at all. And I think she's thinking about killing them. And then Tamlin's like, stop thinking about that. And invisible hands push her back into her chair and force her to eat her food.
I just love how she's trying so hard not to eat. And then Tamlin just is like, here, eat this. He's like, you should be thankful. Like, high fae don't serve other people.
He's like, it's an honor to be served by me. And she's like, sit down, please. I'll get my own food. Tamlin's so, like, he's just so unself-aware of how dumb he's coming off in all of these interactions, I feel like. Okay, she stuffed.
I love how in my wrap up for this episode or for this chapter, I'm like, Feyre joins Tamlin and Lucian for a meal, and they have a chat. That's chapter 8 or 7.
I mean, there's a little bit more there though. Like, so she shoves her face and like eats as much as she can, and then Tamlin makes the food disappear, and he's like, if you add one more bite, you'd throw up. And I'm like, how do you know? Like, does this
let her have her chocolate?
I know. Does his power extend to knowing exactly how much she can eat? Rude. It's that, like, I know best overprotectiveness that, like, when Edward does it, we're like, oh my god, he's so hot. When Tamlin does it, I'm like, ew, bitch, step off.
I think that's because Feyre is just so, like, strong-willed. I mean, I guess you could say the same thing for Bella, but, like, I think Feyre is, like, more strong-willed, and because she's the one who's, like, the caretaker. I mean, you could say the same thing for Bella.
Yeah, Bella is the yeah, you know, they both know themselves. No, it's just like different phases of our life that we read these in. I think that's what it comes down to. Like, Bella feels like a teenager, and we were teenagers, and that's how we thought back then. And then we have a little bit more agency as we get into our 20s, and we were reading this in our early 20s. And Feyre also feels like she has a little bit more agency because she like murders people, and like Bella, she like cooks food, so it's like a step up from the cooking in the, like, Bella's the master of her kitchen, and Feyre is like goes out into the jungle to get the stuff for the kitchen. Like, it's a new level. A new level of fierceness. I mean, and no knock to Bella. Like, my favorite joke in the book is like when she's like, watch me hunt. She gets her cereal.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yes, bitch, hunt. But yeah, so Feyre has like this new level of agency, and we're just like a little older reading this, and we're seeing, I think, the annoying aspects of the overprotective male alpha more clearly in a new light. But so Feyre goes back up to her room after this, and she like takes the curtains. Oh, sorry, you had something else.
Because we learn when she's at the meal that she's so worried about her family. She wants to get back to her family, and Tamlin, he's like, they're being taken care of. Like, you don't need to worry about them. Yes. And then she's just like, oh, okay, cool. Like, you would think I would take their only source of sustenance and not, provide for them.
And she's like, I don't know.
That solves that issue.
Yeah, she's like,
Well,
I don't know.
like,
why would you provide for them?
And I think, like, and then when she goes back up to her room, what does she do?
She takes the curtains and makes like a little trap out of them. Like that's going to stop someone from coming into her room. And poor Alice is like, or Alice, her like lady maid. I don't gets stuck in her stupid curtains trap. Alice is not amused. She's like, we could kill you. And I'm only not doing anything on my master's orders or something. She doesn't seem like the warmest.
Mm-mm.
No.
And also, like, when she's back in her room, I thought it was interesting how she's, again, thinking about her family. And, like, this is before, like, Alice, like, gets trapped in her booby traps. And she's like, well, if I come back, like, through the wall and I disrupt their new way of life, they're probably all going to be mad at me. So it's like, the best thing for them is the fact that I ended up leaving.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Tamlin, so he says that if she tries to escape and go through the wall, then he will stop providing for them. So basically, she has to stay here or her family will go back into poverty and not be able to eat. So that's the way to make her stay. He realizes, I feel like, that's his leverage at this point. But she asks, she's like, why were you even out there? Oh, wait, that's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
That's coming up here. All right. So she gets a new tunic. It's so purple, so dark, it's almost black. And she wishes she knew the name of the color. Do you know the name of the color? Is it like indigo? Because I thought that was a dark blue. But maybe it's a blue purple.
Indigo's like more like a dark blue.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
So dark that it's black. I don't know. I mean, I guess indigo would probably be the closest name for it.
Yeah.
Dark purple.
She looks at the paintings and she's like, wow, this place is actually like peaceful. Maybe my dad was right when he was like, never come back. And then she goes out to the garden.
I love how
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Backtracking, because I love how he asked, they're like, oh, like, what am I supposed to do with my life? He's like, I don't care what you do with your life. Do you have any hobbies? And she answers no. And he's like, Lucian's like, oh, that's just so like humans.
Typically human. They have hobbies.
Because I'm sorry, most humans aren't living in lavish luxury with all-time warm, like, sunny weather like you are.
Like, they don't have the luxury of having hobbies at the moment because they're just trying to survive in the life you provided. Yeah.
Understand your privilege, sir.
Check your privilege at the door, Lucian. Lucian comes off so privileged in this chapter. He's just, like, so unaware of himself in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, she's looking at these paintings, and I feel like in another chapter we hear that Tamlin was watching her look at the paintings, and that's why he buys her paints, perhaps. Not sure. But she goes out into the garden.
That's how Brooke says the fact that Tamlin... Sorry, hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Brooke says that the fact that Tamlin expects Feyre to believe her literal kidnapper will provide for her family.
I know.
She does. She believes it right off the bat.
Well, no, she's like, they kind of argue for a second, and then she's like, oh, I guess I'll have to believe it. It's kind of like, what else does she believe? How does she make peace with the fact that she's not going to be able to provide for them? But yeah, I know. Tamlin always does things like that. He expects her to just, like, trust him. And it's like, you kidnapped me and knocked me out for days to bring me here. And now I have to live in Prynthian, or you will take away what's the support you've offered to my family. Like, he's not taking into consideration the bad things he's doing. He's just like, look, I'm doing good things. Like, that's why you should trust me. Dadoy. Like, so anyway... She goes into the garden and she's like looking at the flowers, and he comes to the door and he's like in the shadows and he's like do you want a tour? No, first he says, you.
You.
And it's like, don't you know her name? And he does know her name. And she's like, wow, what, did he forget it already? Which obviously he didn't. So it's like, why do you feel the need to stand in the doorway in the darkness and yell, you? And then he's like, do you want a tour? And she's like, no. And he's like, well, I want to give you a tour. And he just like doesn't know what no means. And it's another like red flag for Tamlin for me.
I love the fact that he tries to grin at her. And she's like, and he opens up his mouth. And I think that's a grin. I don't know. Okay, I'm just getting, like, in this chapter, it's just such Beast vibes. Like, this is, like, exactly what the Beast does to Belle.
Yeah. This is his, like, most Beast-like. And it's like, you still interact with, like, human, like, people. I think you still know how to speak to people. But this is when we learn the backstory. Like, she finally asks, like, why were you in the human realms? I don't remember why he was in there. I thought that they were going to say to get a girl for him to fall in love with. That's why, right? But he says,
yeah,
because of the
he
magical
can't share that with her, though.
Blight. Yes, of course. But I forgot about the magical blight that's kind of smothering all their powers.
Yeah, I forgot about that too.
Aramanthia's like spell or something. I don't remember the exact parameters of this curse, but it's all hinging on Tamlin. Like, now looking at it, I'm kind of like not I guess we'll have to wait till the end of the book for when it's explained. But I'm like, why does this hinge on Tamlin's ability to fall in love? I have no idea. So the curse has been going on for 50 years. The masks have been stuck on for 50 years. I don't know if the curse happened at like the spring ceremony. I don't remember what led to it. Yeah.
I don't think it actually. Does he actually talk about a curse, or does he just talk about a magical blight?
I feel like he says something like a magical blight has cursed these lands and it's spreading slowly.
Yeah. So she doesn't know that it's a curse, and then the guy that she killed across the wall was looking for a cure, and so that's because he wasn't there, as she knows right now. He wasn't there, but he explains why the wolf or the fairy that she killed was across the wall, because he was looking for a cure.
Yeah.
Why the masks are adhered to their faces.
Yeah. And that's basically this chapter. So a lot happens compared to all the other chapters we've read so far. But we'll be reading chapter 8 this week. We'd love to hear your thoughts on anything you read. If you want to email us at thosefourkingfangirls@gmail.com, or if you want to email us with feedback about anything we talked about. We got some exciting emails about last week's episode that we've loved reading and that we plan on incorporating. Maybe we'll do like a mail episode, like going through feedback and stuff and talking about what everyone wants to discuss in their letters and such. So definitely keep the mail feedback coming with your stories and your thoughts. We love it. You can make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast app for free so you get our episodes. And then, of course, you can subscribe to our YouTube at Those Four King Fangirls for the visual show. You can follow us on Instagram at Those Four King Fangirls. And we're about to go record our fangirl tea time for today. But this has been like a really, I feel like, full episode. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you next Friday. You have anything to add, Natasha? Am I forgetting anything?
No, just make sure you guys tell a friend, and it always helps to share us in the episode on Instagram stories. We love to see that. So
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
I'm Christine.
I'm Natasha.
And we'll see you next Friday. Bye.